Three, two, and yes, we start now. Welcome to Minnesota Latin Radio, to Entérate Minnesota, Mr. Mike Lindall. Thank you so much. It's an honor to have you.
Thanks for having me on. It's an honor to be here.
Well, as you know, it's a lot going on in Minnesota, and it's election year, and we have these extraordinary candidates. And I want the public to know who is Mike Lindell. I know you are a celebrity, but
I don't know about that.
but
well, I,
besides a celebrity, and let me tell you, I wanted to tell you that I actually know a lot about you because you are one of the persons who always help the community, and you are very generous and very supportive for all the causes in the community. So thank you so much.
well, thank you so much. And yeah, I grew up here all my life. I lived in Minnesota all my life, but I was a very functioning addict, and in the early 2000s, it actually turned to crack cocaine, and I spent a lot of my time in the streets of Minneapolis. And God set me free of that, everybody, on January 16th of 2009. Now, and I got pretty famous with My Pillow when we did our first infomercial in 2011. But one of the things was if you go beyond that, once I started getting a platform and getting money, I was using that for the inner city. I was using it in Minneapolis, St. Paul, Rochester, Minnesota, to get people off of addiction and get them help. The homeless, if back in the news back then they're going, My Pillow just donated $1 million of pillows and blankets, or Mike Lindell just gave $2 million to help people in the streets. This is what I did for the teen challenges, the Salvation Armies. Right
Yes.
down there in Minneapolis, I worked hand in hand with the teen challenge, helping people that I lived with and grew up with down there to get better lives and rebuild their lives and get off addiction, get off of drugs. So that's where my heart was, and I was evangelizing around the country for Jesus Christ, doing speeches at US Bank Stadium in 2017. I led 60,000 people in prayer, kids that were there. And I didn't think I could ever lead anybody in a prayer. I mean, but I did. So for me, I watched our state then just things started changing. And one of the things that was very disturbing was, with these politicians that came in, like Waltz, and these nonsense things, like when the virus came in, and then you let them burn down our buildings in Minneapolis, where my friends had rebuilt their lives, and they're not burning down their own building. And then they burn down our police precinct, and one of the things here that if you compare what's going on now, Minneapolis has some of the most stringent protest laws in the nation. So does Minnesota, but they don't follow them. They don't enforce them.
Yes.
8 years ago, you guys in Minnesota here, it was 35W, Black Lives Matter, blocked off Highway 35W, blocked off both lanes. My employees couldn't get to work from Minneapolis, and we couldn't even get supplies. And they let them do this, And so, boy, I'll tell you, when I'm governor, I want to, enforce the protest law. There's nothing wrong with protests, but you better enforce the laws. What's going on right now, as ISIS pulled back, my friends I still talk to them all the time downtown. They're not the ones protesting. They're very upset. The protesters have broke the windows on their cars, maybe, or they're blocking them from getting to their neighborhoods and checking their IDs. We got to make sure you live in this block. Come on. I mean, this is crazy nonsense. I've got a great plans to rebuild the cities, to get people down there. It's very sad, everybody. The other day in Portland, this lady said, this is the safest city in the world now. And she said this about Portland because nobody was downtown. Okay. Yeah. Now I went to Christmas shopping 2 weeks before Christmas this year. I grew up in Minnesota. As we all know, the first mall was Southdale Mall in the United States. I think in the world.
Really?
In the world. Southdale Mall in Bloomington. So
Okay.
I grew up with those escalators, and that mall got so busy. And then downtown, you would go downtown Minneapolis to Dayton's and all these other malls. Well, now, people are not. I went in there. It was just a shame. People are afraid to go downtown. They're afraid, or or people are buying online. They're buying online everything from Amazon and My Pillow. Don't forget My Pillow. But what I want to do, and this is just one of the things I'm going to tell you, I'm going to do, we've got to get rid of the sales tax. Bring businesses back
Yes,
to Minnesota. Get rid of brick and mortar sales tax. So these businesses, you got to have a reason to go shop at Southdale, to go downtown, to buy something, physically buy something. And I got good, just solving different problems. I want to fire a lot of the commissioners. I'll tell you right out of the gate, they don't know what they're doing. I mean, if they can't even manage fraud, we got billions of dollars going out the door. We need I believe, they said the other day, they said, well, Mike, what makes you, I was on CBS, of course, and they were attacking me. Mike, My Pillow, isn't it bankrupt? I said, no, it's not bankrupt. I said, I'm keeping My Pillow here and it's still standing. Even though, we pay the highest corporate tax now in the United States. The
it's
highest
ridiculous.
corporate tax is Minnesota. We just took that over. It's a shame. The regulations we have here in Minnesota, we're just telling our businesses go elsewhere. Cargill might leave. Cargill's been around forever here. It's disgusting. We need to save Minnesota, and it's now. It's the most critical
Exactly.
in the history of Minnesota. I love my state, and we've got to save it. And I'll tell you, these and when she said that, I said, no, My Pillow being the most attacked company in history, we're still here, an employee-owned company. I was able to guide them through all the attacks in the storm, and we're still here. That's a good businessman. And I built things from the ground up. I wasn't handed anything as an entrepreneur here. I was born in Mankato, Minnesota. I did everything from the state fair, carrying pillows for miles up those stairs in the grandstand, going to every county, every city in Minnesota, selling pillows out of the back of my pickup truck, and building a business from the ground up. And then even during this, all the attacks, I built it's called the Cause of America. 300,000 people strong in all 50 states. This is what I've done the last 5 years: is attack the voter fraud. The fraud starts with our elections, and
Yes,
I've been busy with that. Amy Klobuchar, everybody, in 2018, she said, we've got to get rid of the voting machines. She was the most boisterous person. Amy and I agree on that. I'm going to do an ad. It's going to be beautiful. Me and Amy agree on everything when it comes to voting machines. We've got to get rid of them. But what Amy did from that point, she went silent on the fraud, and she got billions of dollars from the federal government, and she wasn't a very good steward of that money. It's gone. It's shipped over to
yes,
Somalia, wherever they put it. With myself, what did I do? I spent $50 million trying to save our country and get to paper ballots hand counted. And as you see, everybody, the SAVE Act our president came out with is so important. If everybody could get involved with that. I'm involved at the federal level, the state level. People say, what does Mike know about politics? I've been immersed in it for 5 years, maybe longer. So
how do you do to take care of the business and now doing your campaign, and again, I know for a fact that you are a very generous person, always helping causes across Minnesota. How do you balance?
well, yeah, here's the deal. I'm going to tell everybody this. I was at the Oval Office this summer. The president and I have become very good friends. I think I think everybody in the public knows that.
Everybody knows, yeah.
And I told him in August, I said, Mr. President, I said, I'm going to run for governor. I said, I'm thinking about running for governor of Minnesota. And he looked at me and we were talking and I said, Kendra, that's my wife. And he knows my wife very well. They prayed together. And I said, my wife and I we need to pray about this, but something very important. I have to make sure My Pillow is secure. And because I want to put 100% in. When I go all in, I go 100% all in.
Yeah.
Well, a little bit after Thanksgiving, My Pillow finally, after 5 years of attack, is very secure. And so I went in, as I told the president then I wanted to tell him, I called him, said I'm running for governor. I didn't ask him for his endorsement. I want him to know I'm 100% all in. Nothing's contingent on anything. I'm in it to win it and save our state and save our way of life and save the American dream. And so that's where we're at. If my pillow hadn't got to that place, I wouldn't feel right abandoning my employees and saying, you know what, take the attacks. But we've guided through. I've got a great family. We like a big family at my pillow, and they'll be just fine moving here. So that way I can go
You can
18 hours a day, everybody. Remember, everybody, too, I'm going to tell you how I'm going to win over the other candidates.
okay, yes, please tell me.
250,000 people voted for Donald Trump in 2020 in Minnesota that didn't even bother to get out and vote in 2022. You know what I'm going to do? I'll go door to door if I have to. They're going to vote. Okay. They're getting out to vote.
Yes,
I've been used to going around this state back when I did my pillow shows. We'll leave no city or county unturned. I will go everywhere. I will put out the importance of how important this is. We have to win. We have to win. There is no, everything could just be in vain and you won't have. I've lived the American dream on steroids here in Minnesota. I grew
yes,
up with nothing. I grew up in a trailer court from a divorced family, started these big businesses, Lindall TV now, but my pillow stuff. I was always been an entrepreneur, but that dream will be gone where anybody could be nothing and go to where I've gotten. And I don't want to lose that. And the other thing too is I have the only one that has a national presence that can go out and raise the money needed to win an election. These guys don't, our primaries aren't till August. And by the time you decide to pick someone, you're voting 45 days early in Minnesota before early voting was the way of life here, the corruption. But so I'm going all in for Amy Klobuchar right now. You can take your Lisa Demuth and all these people and say, you know what? You had your chance. You've been around for 2 years, whatever it's been, and you have done nothing about the fraud. This happened under you guys' watch. I don't care that you got an R by your name. We've got to change here. I grew up here. This is we've got problems. Nobody wanted to mention Sharia law, banning Sharia law. I'm sorry, but Sharia law does not line up with our Constitution. We have to ban it. Other states have banned it. We can't have that here. It's our schools are suffering. Our schools are suffering. But anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to be, because of my past, I'm able to go to the inner city of Minneapolis. Everyone goes, well, Mike, just go to these districts. No, I'm going everywhere. I'll start in Minneapolis and St. Paul. I was just down there the other day. These people down there, they're not all the protest people. A lot of them busted. These people, they want help. They want help. They want a different input to get a different output. And I want to tell everybody, during Donald Trump's campaign in 2024, I went into the inner city in Chicago and I interviewed with Lindell TV. I interviewed and made commercials with is mostly blacks and Hispanics that were voting for Donald Trump for the first time ever. They were Democrats voting for Donald Trump, but but some of them didn't even like him. But why were they doing that? We asked them why they were doing it, and you know what? What came out of their mouths was so important. It was, hey, the illegals are taking all of our resources. They're taking our health care. They're taking our treatment centers. But there was other things too. So imagine me going into the inner city here in Minneapolis and getting people that know me and saying, and they're doing commercials going, hey, I'm voting for Mike Lindell because here's what he did here to help Minneapolis. Here's what he did to help St. Paul. Here's what he did to help St. Cloud. I'm not stopping. I'm just going to a bigger platform where I can really get the help in place that the people need. Now you go to the outstate, you got the farmers, remember they always say, well, the suburban housewife, what about them? They don't like the Republicans. That's rubbish. I'll get all these housewives, same thing. Why are you voting for Mike Lindell? Here's why. We need common sense solutions. This needs to be run like a business, everybody, or we're not going to get through. We have to have a different input now to get a different output. And that's it. It's very simple. I've been there, done it. I have help from the federal level. I know everybody that's in DC, including my good friend, the president. And when we need help, you work together to get, you can solve things working together, not what's happened to our politicians here, pushing away help for our citizens in this state.
Yes, definitely. I'm agree with you. I think we've been so manipulated, and I think the Minnesota people, we are fatigued to see always be in the news for bad things happen, and in anywhere in the country we have these escalations about the protesters. Because all of this could be avoided if the good, intelligent leaders could
Yeah,
really participate and partner with ICE and do, less damage to the community they intended to protect. Um,
absolutely.
it-
Absolutely. I want to tell you one thing about that too. These are the things I'm not sitting around like our president when he had these 4 years in between. You know what? I was with him. He didn't sit around. He learned, hey, by what happened before, he learned, hey, this is what I can do better. This is what will work. This is what will work. I'm going to tell you what I just investigated when you talk about illegals. Do you know I was down in Florida and I went to immigration where real people are coming here legally. And when they come here legally, you know what the first thing? They're excited. They want a new life. They learn English. They learn English and they love our country. And they come in. It takes a while because of all the ones butting in front of the illegals. But what I learned here in Minnesota, just let's just take this. If you worked with the federal government, our prisons here, these are felons. These are the worst of the illegals. The ones we have sitting here in Minnesota in our prisons, it's $80,000 a year to house them, to feed them, to keep them in our prisons. $110 million would go to Minnesota if all we'd have to do is call up and say, hey, would you come in? We'll give you these guys. Send them back to their countries. And everyone would go, well, then they'll just release them. No, we have deals with those countries where they put them in the prisons in their own country.
right,
So
right.
what an easy thing. Here's 110 million. You know how many pots of that? Of course, over here, that's small compared to the billions that were stolen from us. But you see where I'm getting at. You know, I mean,
The billions, and
yeah,
I think we don't even know. And it's very frustrated that so many of the legislators try to stop the continued investigation for the fraud. Um, I think another problem that I see in Minnesota is also the media is very polarized in the left. It's
yeah,
no real people. The main media, of course.
right, yeah.
Um, how do you think we can fight this
Okay,
left
here,
media?
this is my wheelhouse. Okay, Minnesota has the worst media. The Star and Tribune is the worst newspaper in the United States. How do I know this? I deal with every single paper. I would say there's one that's more corrupt, and that's the Washington Post. But when you talk about just the news, it's Minneapolis Star and Tribune. I deal with them all. Every left wing journalist has my direct phone number because that's the only way I was able to get the word out was by them attacking me every day. In Minnesota, they're on to me. What the Star and Tribune and these others do here in Minnesota, they just don't talk about Mike Lindell. They won't even talk about me. They won't even attack me. They're horrible. They're every single one of them is terrible in this state. Now, how do we get around it, everybody? I'll tell you. We because of our voice has gotten so much bigger. We have great podcasts like yourself here. We have
Thank you.
podcasts. We have all the social media platforms now that we didn't have before 4 years ago. We've got Getter, Gab, True Social, My Lindell TV, Vocal, X, X. We even have Suckabuck's Facebook, but he's still bad, but at least he doesn't cover things up anymore. So you have to get the word out when things are happening that are good. You got to spread the word. When things are happening or bad, you spread the word. That's another thing, everybody. When I'm your governor, okay, I will be the most transparent governor you ever seen. You think our president's transparent? I mean, him and I are like that. You're going to hear about it. If somebody's blocking us, if somebody's blocking us from getting a good thing done, you're going to hear about. We're going to call these people out. You don't sit there and hurt the people. You were voted just like this SAVE Act. 79% of the Democrats want the SAVE Act, and these politicians are blocking it. That ain't going to happen under my watch in Minnesota. I will also say this: the with our with the media, you guys, um, like right now, what's going on? It's all about marketing. This is what they try and do. They're going to sit there and tell you Mike Lindell can't win. Mike Lindell can't win. He's too branded with Donald Trump. Look what ICE did now. Or Mike carries the baggage. My baggage are the receipts for our elections. Okay. We have great things we're going to be putting in here in Minnesota before the 2026 election. We're going to have, at least with the things we're dealt, the most secure election we've had so far in a long time. I will say this. When you talk about, let's talk about marketing, it's perception of the public, and the public sees through the bad media now. They know
Yes.
the Star and Tribune could print something, they go, "Oh, that's just the Lion Star and Tribune."
Yeah.
The CBS, Esme Murphy can say something over there at CBS and going, "Oh, she's just biased. She just, I went on her show the other day. She goes, "Mike, I heard My Pillow is bankrupt." I go, "Who told you that? We're still standing in spite of all the attacks." And I said, "Esme, we're still here. Who told you that?" Then she goes, "Well, Mike, I heard you lost $5 million in the challenge because your evidence was no good." I said, "Esme, the Eighth Circuit in Minneapolis overturned that. All my evidence was true." And she goes, "Well, I don't believe that." So I showed her the article. Horrible journalist that she didn't do her job. Okay. But I'm gonna give everybody some hope here.
Yes.
I want to tell you some hope. With ICE pulling back like they did in Minneapolis, pulled back some. Everybody said to me, "Mike, now protesters get their way and everyone's going to just protest anything." I said, "No, by pulling back, it's early enough before the election, you guys. They would have used this all the way up to the election and hid the big problem, which is what? The fraud. That's the big
Big
smoking gun,
problem.
everybody. We've got to get that back in the light. Once these snowstorms in Mexico and all these other things, the Minnesota fraud needs to be back in the light of the country and the world. This is where it started. This is just the tip of the iceberg, what we're going to find. These
Absolutely.
Democrats, these politicians that are in place, that they're either complacent or corrupt or they're incompetent. One of those three, or all three,
All three together.
or all three. And Amy Klobuchar, Amy, this was on your watch. You're not, just because you were a senator, you brought the money into our state from at the federal level. You better follow the money and make sure that the people that needed it here got their money, because they didn't get the help they needed. They're still homeless. They still hungry. They're still this. You know who got it? The people, the politicians in our state either got kickbacks and then it ended up in Somalia and every other place, but not with the people that needed help in the inner city of Minneapolis and St. Paul.
That's so true. 20 years in the Senate and no results. So you're absolutely on point about that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for your time. Please tell us where we can follow you, how we can help you campaign.
You guys, it's MikeLindellGov.com. That's my website, MikeLindellGov.com. Another thing you can all do is, you guys want to spread the word. I'm on every platform. I'm on X at Real Mike Lindell. I have my own network, Lindell TV. You guys check out Lindell TV. Lindell TV over there. You're going to hear news in your own county. We've set up the Election Crime Bureau and the Cause of America. We're in every county in Minnesota. You want to find out what's going on in your own backyard? Get involved, at least so you're getting your news, not from Fox News. You're not going to get anything. I'm telling you, Fox News, you're going to watch that. You won't find anything about election platforms there. Lawfare took care of that, you guys. So you reach me, but more important, we're going to keep you updated at MikeLindellGov.com. You can help my campaign. And we're starting now. We started a month and a half ago, but you're going to see me. You're going to see me every day, not just on little politicians running around Minnesota. Go, here I am in southern Minnesota. Here I am. What are you going to do for our state? It's great. You got a nice picture, Amy, that you're talking to somebody in southern Minnesota or whoever of these other Republicans running. Hey, I'm up here in Bemidji. I'm down here in Fairmont, Minnesota. Well, good for you, Special K. We've got to save our state. What are we going to do? We've got to get the plans now, get the people to vote, and support.
Vote. Yes.
And we will win this. We're all in it together, everybody. It's going to be amazing.
We have to save Minnesota, right?
Yes,
Make it better. Thank you so much, Mr. Lindell. It's an honor to have you, and I appreciate your time. Good luck, and we will follow you and support you in the best way we can, okay?
Thank you. God bless. Thanks for having me on.
God bless you. Thank you. Take care.